So my little phrase is, I think a three-legged dog absolutely can do fine. I don't settle for fine though. I think fine is good. I think great's awesome. So if we have to do fine on three legs, well, what's the price to pay? Full limb amps, that's removed you from a functional prosthetic. So now you are a three-legged, you are the tripod. What happens now? Because the three-legged dog is going to do something interesting that he wouldn't or she wouldn't do with four. So this whole thing about, well, what do we do when we've lost a front leg, especially? All this weight, what goes on with the remaining front leg? So these terms that we hear a lot of, well, can we support it? Can we embrace it? What can we do to reduce the long-term effects of a leg doing what it shouldn't, in a place it should never be in, with a load that it should never handle? So breeds really play a large part in, well, what could go on? What force could be received abnormally through the elbow, shoulder, the carpus specifically? The carpus for us in the canine is such a mobile joint, and it has so much potential for injury, and it all depends on how your breed stands. The German Shepherd dog versus the Bulldog, different worlds. What we'll call prophylactic carpus braces. These are devices that are rigid shells. We have hinges at the carpus. We want to be the thing that directs force from one segment up to the next. The soft connective tissues, the ligaments, the joint capsules, those types of structures are built to do a job with a certain load in a certain orientation, or the physics of what goes on within the joint. So you start placing these legs in an inappropriate alignment, add more force, and have to do a lot longer job. Now we're going to experience long-term trauma. So the articulating type carpus braces are there specifically for, well, maybe all day, maybe only for the walk, need dependent. You and your RDVM and your pet, your fur child, decide, yeah, you know what, I pay a price when I go to the park. Getting the mail is totally fine. Okay, we just identified the need now. Maybe it changes later. But we want the device to be the thing that takes the excessive load, not the remaining leg. So the front leg is where it's at, because that's all the complicated stuff. The back leg is interesting, and we may make tarsus braces just like carpus braces for the same reasons, but there's far less load back there. So it's a little bit easier. So we really put a higher value on being awesome, missing a front leg, because that's more challenging and far more complicated. So I really would say life after a three-leg, when we've lost everything, that's really about, well, what's the need? What are we trying to do? So let's build a brace that lets us do that. So I would say that really encapsulates for us this, I don't want to settle for fine statement, and what can we do to mitigate the forces that should never have been there, and the pause in a place it should never have been.